everyone, I am back. Wow, that was a real adventure. Going into a more powerful body in the neighboring dimension is quite the shocker type of an event. Anyway, Mewtwo and I had a great time in California. The first day, with Magi Chan's legs, I ran from Virginia to California. It was a lovely run. I almost tripped a few times, but the psychic senses gave me a heads up, so I was able to instinctively avoid the mishaps. The weather was clear and good that morning. Lovely views, even though a lot of them were blurred to me. An hour or two later, we made it to Utah. I found and visited my BFF, Anna McLaren. I initially had a tough time verbally communicating with her or getting her attention, but I went telepathic, and she was able to hear me. She looked like she was hearing a ghost. I clarified who I was and that I was standing right in front of her. I put a hand on her forehead while she was sitting on the couch, sent a few mind-opening pulses, and she was able to see me. Startled, yes, but she soon calmed down. I told her about how Magi Chan and I switched bodies, and that I was on my way to Cali. She saw and takes with Mewtwo as well. It was a lovely hour of conversing. After leaving, we made our way to California. Took less than a half hour to look up at Chris Kink's place. He wasn't at home. The mixture of light and darkness presences were obvious in there, but it was tolerable, especially since my light power and soul were brightening up the place. We found Jake and made ourselves obvious to him. He did notice us, but damn was his ADD turned on, as he remained focused on talking with his peeps and friends that late morning hour. We did get Jake to notice us fully, or as fully as possible. I personally attest and confirm, despite his young Jake's soul offline and in person, Jake is really civil and kind, as well as respectful of personal space. I will admit, however, I still had my own horny impulses regardless of the body I was in. Soulfully, I can be quite, what's the word? I don't want to say nympho, because that's an exaggeration. Let's go with sensual. Anyway, he did have his body pillow attired to look like me. Yeah, it was weird, but he meant well. He did not need to enchant the thing either. I jumped into it and out of it, just because he felt better able to hold me that way. I gotta tell ya, he gives really comforting hugs. What else? I hugged him back. I talked to him. He adored and appreciated my presence, attention, and kindness. It was quite the educative experience that I will keep in memory and soul to heart what I had witnessed of his magical craft. Whoosh! That venting sent out to take out the two individuals behind Blanca Weiss, as well as those behind Clyde Cash and Ryan Bash. Way back then, there must have been more than 100
Manacross,
making a thick 3-layered dome around his home temple. Mewtwo and I were about 100 or so miles away from there for safety. All that to ensure the safety of the innocent and non-related peoples. We meditated around all of the temples in California. We even visited Chinatown. Really good food there, and it remained quite rustic and lovely. Many portals cracked open all around us and in Virginia at the same time, and our surrounding states on either side of the continent. The energy that poured in was amazing. It fueled not only myself, but an arcing rainbow over the USA to Magi Chan and back again. What he felt really lit up my body many times. It happened to me on my end with his body too. Anyway, Mewtwo and I had to leave when Jacob stopped resisting Jacoba. It was Natasha Turner smoking cigarettes in front of me during Providence middle school years all over again. We were to keep ourselves distant when Jacob was being channeled and talking before then, to be safe. I know him. He really would enslave others in the guise of peace. The God Throne is really way too much for him. All he was really doing was keeping that throne warm for the next in line. But he has been too stubborn to leave it, and was power hungry. We will take him out and restore everything as soon as we can together. Next, I triggered the vibrations in Magi Chan's body to adjust the dimensional frequency. I had to work soulful feeling in finding our 1218, and it took me hours of focus and concentration. But I did it! I got Magi Chan Sonichu's body fully visible here. After that, people did begin seeing me. You two suggested I teleport elsewhere. So we teleported to one of the many temples. We meditated and rested for a while. Over the past week, we've been further channeling energy and power and sending them back and forth to and from with Magi Chan, as well as fighting off a bunch of demons that came along after Jacoba's true self counterpart's soul tampered with the dimensional curtain. That will be quite the union of that soul with this dimension's Jacoba. Not much power increase, but the motivation and arrogance will be worse. Tiring and crazy. Mewtwo and I teleported back to Virginia after fighting off a few more of the bastards. Magi Chan left his, for now, last thoughts and prayers. And as he put on the second earring, we hugged and we talked a bit how tough it was for each of us. We felt the soul transfer happen, and it happened really quick, less than a minute's time. Like a road trip. The trip to distant destination B feels like looping, like a long trip, and the return back to point A feels shorter and easier. From my perspective, going from a body that was still developing its powers in a restrictive reality, whereas my soul is most omnipotent everywhere else, into a fully powered psychic/electric Pokemon body, leading to control my emotions with the powers. Even his brain worked a lot better than my own. It was unreal and new to me. Thankfully, Mewtwo mentored me, and I had a quick learning curve. It actually was as simple as my own psychic powers when I am projected outside of my body, or from my body and into the C-197 side of the curve. Still, it was like going from kindergarten to college. That's a lot of wisdom and power. I knew everything. I had access to his limitless knowledge and memories, including those of him when he went back in time and into other dimensions and everywhere. I saw myself on Kingston from his perspective before I was banished from there for the other past crimes, to be reincarnated through the chaotic rainbow and into my mother's womb and all that. I watched both of my parents' lives play out from birth to present, with Robert Chu's death from 1218 and reincarnation into C-197 within minutes to an hour or so. I watched and recalled my own life from birth to present as well. I saw the Big Bang. I foresaw billions of outcomes for this timeline. I saw the other pieces and highlights of history in all of their details. Deep breaths and sigh. It was intense, but I digress. I can only remember as much as possible out of it, all in my soul memory, which it is now being transferred and backed up into my brain and my cloud save backup in the cosmos. I will also attest from what I have foreseen, Jake's visit here will be pleasant and eventful, and he shall leave Jacoba on the curb back in outside of California, not in Virginia at all. He is truly a very kind gentleman and individual. I feel he should not have had to ever resort to what he had done in the past. But had he not done so and reformed by mine and Magi Chan's personal interventions and abilities, he would not be as personally developed and confident as he is. Moral of that story: treasure your experiences, good and bad. They all shape you into the better and stronger individual that you are. I appreciate all of my past experiences, and now everything will play out and come full circle. Fully well, indeed.